Thank you.
Mary, you want to sit here? Something called family.
It looks like 4:30 to me. Can you hear me? Welcome, everybody, to the Tide Point Community Association Annual Meeting. It's been going on at the second Tuesday of December for many, many years. So, for those of you who may not know me, my name's Ann Hogue. I have lived at Tide Point for 10 years, and I've been on the board for 2 years, and I have served as president this year. It's been my honor to do so, and thank you for all the support that you have provided to me. I'm going to give you a little snapshot of the agenda, which is also on your chair. Two things, if you will. Please silence your cell phones, and Michael and I are asking that you save your questions to the end of the information that we are going to provide for you in the next bit. So here's a snapshot of our agenda. I'm going to ask that Dick Wiles. Dick has served on this board steadfastly for 6 years, and he will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise. Raise the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Terry Hannick will deliver the invocation for us.
notes and computers, iPads. Good afternoon. Dear Lord, as we begin this annual meeting, let us pause to recognize the value of community and the responsibility we share as neighbors. Our purpose today is to work together with fairness, respect, and cooperation so that the efforts we make are always directed towards strengthening the well-being of our neighborhood. May we be grateful for the hard work and sincere caring for Tide Point by our outgoing board members, and bless the new board members with their commitment to our common good. May our conversations be thoughtful, our differences be handled with civility, and our common goals be kept at the forefront. Let this meeting reflect our commitment to maintaining a community where people feel welcome, safe, and proud to call Tide Point a home. Amen.
Thanks so much, Terry. And I do feel we're also fortunate to live in this absolutely wonderful community. So what we're going to do first is look back a bit. We have a rich history. Starting in 1994, 1995, about a dozen Sea Pines residents decided to invest some money and create this community. It turns out those 12 or 14 people who invested really didn't know much of anything about senior living. And it was a rocky road for a number of years, but just a little history here. The clubhouse was built first, then the 501 building, and finally the Broad Creek Care Center by 1995. The 301 building followed, and then the cottages and verandas. Kind of a rocky road from 1994 to 1998 with lawsuits, a bankruptcy, and some different ownership. Along came Classic Residence by Hyatt, which purchased Tide Point in a spirited bidding at an auction in Ohio District Court in 1998. You might ask why Ohio. There was an insurance company in Ohio that went broke, and so this place was up for auction. In 2010, Hyatt changed its name of Classic Residence by Hyatt to Tide Point, a V community, so that's when this new brand came into being. The first refurbishment took place in 2009. We all know that Hurricane Matthew came to town in 2016. Our first ever assessment happened in 2017. Our second refurbishment went on for a number of years, as many of us know. It started in 2019 and it wrapped up in 2024. The good news is we've had no evacuations since 2019 and may the trend continue. Here's some pictures of the construction. If you look in the upper right there, you're looking across the lagoon at the 301 building when it was under construction. I think maybe Deanie's in the room. Do you realize that Deanie will have been here 30 years in 2026? Let's hear it for Deanie. So in May 1999, the construction of the cottages began. The clubhouse construction, as I mentioned, started in 1994. Then they went on to the 500 building. So this is some of the digging. I don't know whether this is fact or fiction, but I've been told that originally they intended to build this community up with landfill to 14 feet, and they realized that it was an incredible amount of landfill. So instead of bringing in all of the landfill, they raised our buildings up 14 feet. Now, I don't know if that's fact or fiction, but I've heard that story a number of times. So by 2000, we had 195 occupants, and to put that in perspective, we now have 291 of us living here. I don't know if anybody remembers Vera Anderson, the first Tide Point resident. I bet Deanie does, but the rest of us probably never knew her. So a little bit more about Hurricane Matthew. Matthew came to town in October 2016. The recovery took, well, a year and a half too. One of the things that people may not realize is that V really floated us an interest-free loan for about a year and a half to the tune of $4.5 million. They helped us put ourselves back together before the insurance kicked in. Out in the field where by the driveway, they had piled up 9,350 cubic yards of debris. It was quite an impressive pile of mostly big pine trees. So here are a few of the pictures of Matthew. I think we're looking down along the 301 and the 501 building. By the time we got back, that was all removed, but that's what it looked like. And here's the veranda at 43 through 49. As you can see, there are many large pine trees lying on the roof. So that just gives you a sense of what this community looked like after. But we couldn't come back until all of that was removed. So the refurbishment project, I'm going to acknowledge John Perryman once again for getting us through this situation. We started in the 301 building and the 501 building in 2019, which included carpeting, paint, lighting, and the furniture in the living rooms. And then we moved on to the clubhouse, and the total for the project was $3,203,000.
What did they say?
This is a slide that everybody always enjoys seeing. We're 203 homes on 63 acres. The total villas is 106, and the verandas and the cottages you can see are 40 and 57. So there are 9 more villas than there are verandas and cottages in total. Here's our property. I'm told that once upon a time, when they bought the property, they were going to bring the entrance in from Palmetto Bay Road, and then they discovered this tract of land and brought us in off Port Comfort rather than off the busy Highway 278.
Good thing.
This may not be very clear, but this depicts the property that V owns. They're red lines. V owns the care center along Lemongrass. They own the lagoons. For some strange reason, they own the peninsula behind 92 Shoreline, and they own the park and the area adjacent to the park. People find that interesting. Why it's carved up this way, who knows? So this is kind of fun data. Everybody looks forward to this. There are 291 of us. That was as of November 1st. Where we moved from, Sea Pines, 24%, and that's been kind of consistent over the years. 24 to 28 moved from Sea Pines. People from North Hilton Head Island, 26%. What that really means is all of Hilton Head Island except Sea Pines. Is what that really means. That's code language. Bluffton, 21%. That includes people who moved from Sun City and other places in Bluffton. 24% on the East Coast and 5% others, west of the Mississippi and an occasional foreign country. So that's what we look like today. This is the first time that we put this up at an annual meeting. I find it very interesting. 14.4% of us are in our 70s. 61.8 are in their 80s. And over 90, they're 23.9 or 24%. So I think that's kind of an interesting breakdown. So here we are, 291 of us. Total couples, 86. Singles, 119. Total single men, 32. Total single women, 87. Anybody surprised? So this is the group that moved in this year up until November 1st. You're going to see some shifts in these demographics. The minimum age of people moving in this year was 72. The maximum age is 94. So the average age is 82. So it brought us down from 85. This year's group, the average age is 82. And this is a data point of great interest. 51% are boomers. We heard the boomers were coming, and they're here. Those are people who were born between 1946 and 1964. This, again, is the new members. 43% male, 50% female, and I already mentioned 18 couples and 13 singles. But here's a shift. Look at the Sea Pines figure. 3% came from Sea Pines in the new batch. And other places on Hilton Head, 47%, so that's up. Bluffton up about 5%. East Coast roughly the same, but you can see there are shifting demographics with new people moving in. Okay, our volunteers. First of all, I want to acknowledge this wonderful board, hard-working board. We're going to talk a lot about what they and their committees did during the course of this past year. But this is the whole community. Again, look down in the lower right. Total volunteers in some capacity, 159, so well over 50% of us are doing something to make this community an even better place. 82 serve on the board or committees. You can see the flower ladies are 9, the holiday fund, 2 hardworking volunteers there, a variety of other kinds of volunteers. Broad Creek Care Center, 35 volunteers help our residents over there, and we're always seeking volunteers, so please know that you're needed to improve life for the Broad Creek residents. 7 people volunteer in the library and 13 on the education fund, and we'll go into some detail about that shortly. So here's your board of director, myself and Sandy, vice president, Chris, secretary, treasurer, Ben Bowen, Terry Hannock, Burke Lambert, Mary Price moved away from the community in October, Dick Wiles, and of course our executive director, who is a member of our board. You'll shortly see how hard they work. So some of the key board of director accomplishments this year was we held our first ever full-day board orientation in early January. We did what's known as a SWOT analysis. We took a look at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats that Tide Point faces. We set some priorities for finances, technology, dining, and new member assimilation. And this year we did something a little different. We provided ongoing board education. What I mean by that is, at the end of board meetings, we often had somebody come in and talk to us. For instance, Deanie came and talked to us about how V markets our wonderful Tide Point. Lily Lance, who's our HR director, came in and explained the V training programs. We also heard from Lee and Pam on how the employee fund worked, and the board really didn't have a great awareness of how that worked, and boy, did they open our eyes to how that whole thing works. And Beverly Shep came in and explained how the education program works and how the scholarships are awarded. And we've developed some job descriptions for board members, which we didn't previously have. That's a work in progress. They're not totally done yet, but we're hoping that we'll wrap that up so that people will have in writing what's expected of them. So there are your committees, and we're about to go through all of those. I just realized I made a major mistake. I didn't do the official quorum calling of the quorum. And I'm surprised that Chris wasn't over waving at me. So I need to back up. I hope you'll forgive me. This meeting isn't official yet. So, Mr. Christensen, do we have a quorum of the owner members of the Tide Point Community Association?
Madam President, at last. I'm proud to announce that according to Article 11, Section 4 of the Master Deed, we have a quorum.
I hereby declare this meeting official. I'm surprised somebody didn't say, Dan, you forgot. Do I have a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of last year's annual meeting?
Madam President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the minutes.
Second.
I was going to ask for a second, thank you. It's moved and seconded to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the 2024 Tide Point Community Association annual meeting. Any discussion? Those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Those in favor of the motion, thank you. So the motion is carried. I still can't believe I did that. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes as written from last year's annual meeting? Hearing none, they stand approved. Well, that was interesting. So, on to the real meat. So, here's our finance committee. Chris Christensen chaired and John Perryman was vice chair. Tom Jones, Burke Lambert, Lee Niner, Jim Schooner, Craig Siegler. Boy, did these people work hard. They looked on a monthly basis at every single line item and took it apart and put it back together again. They had a really strong team with Michael and Sally Henderson, our director of accounting. Their major accomplishments are really very major accomplishments. They exceeded the goal of achieving a break-even in operating performance, and they protected and adjusted our 10-year capital spending plan to accommodate capital expenditures. These are two real biggies. They're minding the store for us. Dining services. Sandy was chair, Chris Christensen vice chair. Great hardworking group of Patty, Lee, Peg, Faye, Pam Hannock, Nancy Smith, Leanne Harkness. And this is teamwork at its best. All three members of the cabinet attended all these meetings, Michael, Zoran, and Jessica. So real teamwork in the dining committee. Some of the major accomplishments, there were many, these are only a few. They reduced the number of takeout meals from 41% to 25%. We had more themed meals, more action stations, those great Friday night specials, buffets, and the wonderful fast casual that everybody seems to like so much. They used the comment card process for continuous improvement in the quality and the variety of the food. They collaborated with the culinary staff to implement, update, and fine-tune the new POS system. Let's face it, the first few months it was tough sledding, both for staff and for the dining committee and for all of us. But we've smoothed it out, and there are a few little hiccups every once in a while. But the POS system has really brought us into this century and been a godsend in many ways, including for the accounting department. Maintenance, security, and housekeeping. Dick Wiles chaired it, Burke Lambert vice chair. I'm not going to list all those names, but the important thing about the maintenance committee is that every single person on that committee has a territory or they have a function, and they report back in at all of those meetings. Again, Michael sometimes is able to be there, Quentin is there, Michael Lebrecht from security is there, and Rhonda Ashby from housekeeping again. Again, you see the partnership between the volunteers and the staff. So maintenance does so much, but these are a few highlights. They improved the functionality of the work order process. Again, not perfect, but it gets better every time we tweak it and get some new software. Every year they do an annual survey of maintenance issues to stay on top of what's out there that needs to be fixed and tweaked. And they also took a look at energy consumption this year for the first time. Governance Committee. These folks work quietly in the background. Burke Lambert chaired it, Terry Hannock was vice chair, and with their 4 members, they looked at, they updated and revised the member handbook. That was a long, arduous task. It went on for many months. Part of it was new regulatory information provided by V on a variety of subjects, and then we had many changes in terms of price increases and policy changes. So it was really summertime by the time the handbook was completed, but it got done and it got done well. And then Burke and his crew also made sure that the bylaws are in compliance with the handbook. Nominating Committee. Terry, the chair, Mary Price, as I mentioned, was vice chair until she departed, and 5 hard-working people worked with Terry to make that process work. They identified and interviewed potential candidates. Quite a few potential candidates were spoken to and interviewed to see if they had interest in helping either on committees or on the board. Focused on the development of members who might be future candidates. I mean, Terry and his crew really focused on succession planning and getting some people in the pipeline who may be potential board members or who might be, say, a vice chair of one of the committees. And they refined the nominating process, which is an ongoing situation year after year. Landscaping, Benton Bowen and Mike Neal, who were chair and vice chair. Again, the people on this committee have a territory. They report back about dead grass, hanging limbs, so they're really very much a working committee. And Quentin is always at those meetings. The unique thing about landscaping is we have an outside vendor who is always present. The Greenery has 2 people who are always at those meetings, so they hear the firsthand what you as members are saying and what the committee is observing about the property. So somehow the margins got a little wiggly there, but Benton worked with Michael to renegotiate the contract. We renewed a 3-year contract with the Greenery, and Michael was quite insistent that certain elements be in there, and Benton got the 2 representatives to come to each of his meetings. The Landscape Committee completed all the pending projects from 2024 and quite a few of the priority projects to 2025. They reduced the noise pollution by switching to electric leaf blowers, and I just want to clarify, it's the handheld blowers and the mowers that are now electric. The big blowers out on the street are still gas, and I don't think that's going to change, but the noise level I think is down quite dramatically, which has I think improved quality of life. And then 2 loads of sod were also installed around the campus. The Finance Committee encouraged the Landscape Committee to identify priority projects for 20 and 26 and beyond. So that's been a good exercise with Finance saying we need to know what's coming down the pipe. So we've got a pretty good handle on what could or might happen in the coming year. Lifestyle Member Services, Mary Price was chair until September, and then Sandy Brooks and I became co-chairs for the last quarter. Again, this committee, each person has an assignment. For instance, Pam Christensen is the head ambassador for her territory, but everybody had a function there. Joy Lawson and Carrie Rodriguez always attend those meetings as well on the staff side. So some of the accomplishments for Lifestyle Member Services are the ambassador program got stronger. They cleaned up the apps. We got rid of some of the icons that were no longer relevant and added some icons. They structured the committee so that each person had an area of focus. And they focus more on metrics to measure success. An example of that would be at the fitness center, it's been learned that approximately 175 people a week use the service in some way. Excuse me, I'm going the wrong way. Okay, so we're going to talk more about other volunteer groups. This is outside the board and outside board committees. You've got the Holiday Fund, the Education Fund, the library, the flower arranging, the Broad Creek volunteer program, and lots of other member-driven activities. So we'll take a look at those now. The Holiday Appreciation Fund, headed up by Lee Niner and Pam Hannock, they really did a great job this year. They came to the board and they pushed the board to take real ownership of this fund. The coordinators in the past have been kind of out there without asking for board support, so they insisted that we raise our hands and that we move from a recommended amount of $1.50 a day to $2 a day. And so Friday afternoon, the employees will have a party and get their checks, and they will be pretty excited when they find that all of you have been incredibly generous. The Tide Point Community Education Fund, Beverly chaired that for, I think, the 4th year. Her hard-working group go through applications and use criteria and make determinations on who the recipients of the scholarships will be. I attended the luncheon for the first time this year and was absolutely blown away. I encourage you to go to that luncheon next year. The scholarship recipients give a little speech and say how grateful they are for the scholarship assistance that they received. So that's a pretty incredible program. Okay, Carolyn Benjamin, she has been coordinating the library volunteers for a long time. These women go in and they shelf the books, they get rid of books that are obsolete and worn out. So they quietly, I don't think you see more than 3 books on that table by the front door. They're constantly in there shelving things and making that flow seamlessly. Tuesday morning flower arranging. Trish Hackelman and Beth Brink chaired the group, and there are 8 or 9 of us who meet every Tuesday morning. I think I calculated that this group alone works at least 1,000 volunteer hours per year. And it's 2 hours a day, 48 weeks. We have 4 weeks off over the holidays, which is much appreciated. So here's the gang at Broad Creek. Hallelujah to Sharon Walston. She is the lead volunteer over there. She assigns people to various functions. She's constantly recruiting, and she really always needs help to improve the quality of life over there. And then there are lots of other things that happen behind the scenes. For instance, you may or may not know that Deborah Boileau is the person who updates all the plant signs around the community. Just quietly goes about it and does it. Another, for instance, is Wayne Effron runs the investment club. Don Sager runs the book club. Lee Lopez, as you know, does Tide Point talks and trivia. And all those people spearhead some sort of an activity. And they're kind of the unsung heroes, but they're out there working for us again. So that's my little dog and pony show. And thanks, members, for making it a great place, and thanks all the volunteers and all the board members who really improve life for us. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Hogue, during this presentation. Thank you to the volunteers. What a great group. It's amazing how many volunteers we have and what we're able to accomplish throughout the years. So this is one of my favorite pictures. I wanted to put that up there overlooking the marsh in the summertime. It's a beautiful picture. So as I go into my, is there an echo?
Stand.
Oh, yes, thank you. So as we go into my report, there might be some overlapping communication. I did my best to try and steer a little clear of what Ms. Hogue was presenting, but we could have a little bit of overlap because I think there's some opportunities to really celebrate some great stuff that's happened in the community this year. So let's take a look at what we're going to go through with the Executive Director report. I'm going to do a brief year in review 2025. We'll take a look at 2026 Tide Point operations, our community priorities as we head into 26, and then a brief look at the 2025 resident satisfaction survey results. I'm going to share some high-level results with that, and then as we get into the first quarter, we'll dig into that a little bit deeper at one of the town hall meetings. So in 2025, we welcomed 3 new cabinet members, part of my executive team, into the community. If you haven't had a chance to meet Andrea Williams, she's our Director of Nursing, but Andrea has been here for 3 years supporting the care center in other ways. She's been the clinical reimbursement manager before the Director of Nursing. Very warm-hearted, tender individual, so leading the clinical team in the care center. Lily Lance, she's our new Director of Human Resources. She's been with us for about 5 months. She came from Naples, our sister community in Naples. Bright, intelligent young lady leading the recruitment, engagement, and employee development component of our community. And then Jessica Spires, you've all had a chance to meet Jessica. She started at the beginning of the year, just really excited that she's here with us. And we're looking forward to a great year in 2026. We also welcomed a couple other leaders. Charmaine Jenkins, who was our dining room supervisor, got promoted into the dining manager position. I think Charmaine has about 30 years with this community as well, so that's amazing. I don't know, Deanie, if Deanie started first. Deanie's waving, I started first. Now she's not sure. She might be backing off of that. Don't say anything to Charmaine. And then Paige Sullivan, a lot of energy, great acquisition. She joined us as a fitness supervisor. So a little bit about our staff. We have 104 hourly employees here. And then we have 14 salaried employees that support Tide Point. Our average length of service for our team here is 8.24 years. But we got a lot of folks here that been here a lot longer than 8.24 years. So I'm very proud of that, and that really just helps to provide stability in our operation and within our community. And then we hired 22 individuals in 2025 that helps to support our ongoing service excellence programs. As I break this down a little bit more, almost 85% of our workforce is in non-management roles. Our employee turnover, which is a key benchmark for us, not only us, but also it's a key benchmark in the industry, no matter really what industry you're in, is 20%. So effectively, we are retaining 80% of our workforce on an annual basis, so 8 out of 10 employees are staying with us. That's a really strong number, something that we're proud of. And then our vacancy rate at Tide Point is a little less than 5%. It has, right now it is a little less than 5%. We have seen that pop up a little higher throughout the year, but right now we got it under 5%, and that's really a key indicator for us as well. And as many of you know, this is a really difficult market to recruit in because there's a lot of opportunities for those folks who live in Bluffton and in Okatee and beyond to get a job before they come to the island. So we're very proud of that as well. So as we take a look at 2025, some of the areas that I think were really led to our success was just a great collaboration with the board, its committees, the members. Ms. Hogue just shared a lot of information about those partnerships and collaborative collaboration that we have with everybody. So I think that really drives strong results. We're looking to do the same in 2026. We also, as you're very well aware, we promoted Caleb into the IT tech position. And I got to tell you, that guy is busy. So hopefully you're getting the support that you need. I know I'm getting the support that I need, and I think we're all a lot better for it since we initiated that position in 2025. So through November, we had 32 home closings, which is close to a record. But by the end of this month, we're projected to have, it was going to be 37, but I found out today that one is going to be holding off a little bit, so it's going to be 36 closings by the end of the year. And really, for me, I mean, that really just ties into, saying that we got a great community here. Folks want to live here, and there's still strong demand in the market. We welcomed over 50 new members. So that's 20%, I think, of our membership here, almost 50 new members. So that's got quite a lot of new faces in the community. And then, you might remember this, earlier in the year, we celebrated Deanie and Cheryl. They actually won Sales Team of the Year. They were voted the best sales team of the year through our corporate office. So a lot of that had to do with a number of closings that we had last year. There's a lot of other benchmarks that they achieved, but very proud of our sales team. And you can see Phyllis was there with them as well. And that's a picture of them in Chicago. A little bit more, so share a little bit about the dining committee and some of the accomplishments. This really does tie into that, but I'm really proud of our dining team and everything that they've been able to accomplish in 2025. Take a look at some of these heavy lifts that a new chef and a fairly new dining director put into place. So most recently, the fast casual menu was launched. Great success with that. We're averaging about 25 covers a night in that dining room. We changed from a monthly Sunday brunch to a weekly Sunday brunch. So that was a great offering. Just super excited that we were able to do that. Jessica came in and she wanted to do the Friday night specials. So that's still very well attended. Great feedback from that, great experiences, great dining experiences from that. We also started monthly themed dinner buffets. So that's a once a month buffet that you're now experiencing. And who could forget the infamous implementation of the full count POS system? But here we are a year later, and we're just in a totally different place with the POS system. Folks are making reservations, you can order your food online to go. In my opinion, it really has been able to streamline and improve efficiency within our operation. But it was a difficult implementation for a lot of different reasons. One, it's all new for you, but guess what? It was all new for our staff as well. So most other restaurants or communities would have had a POS system, a point of sale system, for years. They've been out for years. We held back a little bit on it, but we got it in, and I think we're better off for it. A little bit about our care center. We don't talk about our care center a whole lot. You may or may not know this, but our skilled nursing facility in Broad Creek is a 5-star rated facility. So CMS has a website, and you can log into the website and look up 5-star skilled nursing facilities, and they have a star rating for each facility in our area. And there's different benchmarks that they gauge this star rating on. We are currently 5 stars, so don't look at the one. There should be maybe 5 of those gold stars up there, but we're a 5-star rated facility. And also, they get an annual survey, so the state can walk in at any time and survey the team against, in terms of how are they complying with clinical outcomes, environmental outcomes, safety outcomes, and we had a zero deficiency survey for skilled nursing, so which was really hard to get. But then we doubled down, and we also got a zero deficiency survey in assisted living as well. So we got a great team over there in assisted living, just providing great outcomes for the residents that live there. So I want to just touch briefly on the budget. We had a budget meeting a few weeks ago. This is more of a reminder than anything. This is our budgeted revenue, and I'm going to show you a pie chart in a minute, just in terms of how that all lays out for us. And out of that budgeted revenue, we're able to pull into our reserve fund $1.8 million, which is right there. And the reserve funding sources come from closings and community fees. So the more closings we have, the higher the reserve fund builds. in 2026, there's going to be a 10.6 contribution. So out of your monthly fee, 10.6% goes into the reserve fund. In 2025, this year, it's 10.5, 26 is 10.6, and that escalates by 0.1% until it tops out at 11%. Once you hit 11%, then every year 11% goes into that fund. And then there's interest that is earned on the reserve funds that are held in bank accounts. That ties into that as well. And then here's just a quick review of the graphics that Sally shared, the pie chart, and you can see that our biggest expense, no surprise here, is really salaries and benefits. And then you get into some other big areas, which is food and beverage, and then these management fees, and then you go through and you can see the other departments as well. So that should say 2026. I didn't change that, but that is what it looks like for next year. So I'm not going to go deep on that since we already had the budget meeting. So I wanted to share the 2026 community priorities. So each year, as I prepare for 2026, we sit down as a team and we take a look at what is our focus area going to be. And a lot of things don't really change year over year, because there's certain things, certain outcomes that we're looking to achieve each and every year. The first and foremost is going to be continued safety and health and well-being of each one of you, our members and staff. So that's a big focus for us, and we do that in many different ways. We want to continue the strong partnerships that we have with the TCA board. We think that great outcomes are a result of strong partnerships. So, and I think this year, I'm very proud to have worked with this board and all the committees and the members, and very proud of the accomplishments that we've been able to achieve. So I enjoy working with each and every one of you, and enjoy working together to make life even better for all of you. And then we want to continue to enhance the dining experience for the members. So we do have a plan that we'll be sharing in early 2026 in terms of what that's going to look like. And I think you're going to really be pleased with the direction that we're going. Some other priorities that we're going to focus in on is your investment. So a little bit different here than most retirement communities, it's home ownership, which is, so your investment is important to you and it's important to us. So we want to ensure that we're maintaining high occupancy, ensuring that this lifestyle is experienced, but even more. We want to ensure our operations and leadership at Broad Creek, our healthcare center, and other health services such as the Wellness Center remain high quality with a true focus on providing person-centered care. Oops. Trigger happy. So staffing, I had mentioned that our vacancy rate is good right now, but staffing is very difficult here in particular areas, such as dining, such as healthcare. Some key leadership positions, it's hard to recruit for. So, but we do have a plan that we work, and there's benchmarks that we look to achieve to ensure that we're executing strong workforce strategies to include engagement. So like you get a resident satisfaction survey, we do a survey with our employees, employee engagement survey. It's important that we hear from them confidentially so we can make changes for a better work environment for them. But we don't wait until just a survey to hear from them. Just like I hear from you with Mingle with Mike or Town Hall, we do department meetings, we do feedback sessions, we do one-on-ones. There's many ways that we get it. But we want to stay focused on that. It drives engagement, it drives tenure, cuts down cost, and strengthens our retention. 2026, we got some key significant capital projects that we want to be addressing. So we still are working with elevators. We'll be working with elevators for years to come. So we got more elevators coming up. We got to get through the first one. We got a slide. Hold your questions, please. Hold your questions. Yeah, so we got elevators. We got aging decks that we need to take a look at and assess and ensure that we have a strong plan around. We have an aging kitchen, we have an aging community. So overall, I have to say, even though we have an aging community, that my predecessors and former board members and finance committee and the current members in finance committee, board members in finance committee, are very, very focused on our long-range plan, our 10-year plan, and how we're spending our money. For a community to be almost 30 years old, and we sort of celebrate 30 years later this year, this community looks great. There's still things that we need to address. There's areas of opportunity, but I would have to say that the finance committee and previous finance committees have done a really good job in helping to manage that money, which is really a partnership between myself, our director of finance, and the finance committee and board. So they've done a fantastic job. So also, for me, communication is important. So there's many ways that we do it within our community. I think there's always opportunities for communication. That's why I started the Mingle with Mike. It's one of my favorites. But the town hall is also valuable as well, a more formal presentation. We do the resident satisfaction survey, and we get a lot of communications both ways throughout the committees. So we want to ensure that we're continuing to adapt to newer communication methods to ensure that you're feeling heard and that we're getting the feedback that we need to continue to make this a great community. We are continuing our agreement with Sea Pines, which to me is just awesome. It's a really valuable part of the membership here. A lot of folks use that and visit Sea Pines quite frequently, using their services and enjoying the community there. So, and then there's one here that you might not have heard a lot about. It's called Living Well Reimagined. I floated that out to the board earlier this year. We sort of slowed up on it a little bit as V Senior Living really dug into that a little bit more. But V is reimagining how we execute programs for you all to create elevated experiences for the members here. So starting at the end of this year, you're going to start getting communications through our corporate team about Living Well Reimagined and a new brand that's coming that's going to be launched in January. I have been sworn to secrecy by my corporate team on this, so I can't really divulge a whole lot because we want it to be an exciting launch for you. So be on the lookout for some things in your mailbox, maybe outside your door, that are coming at the end of this year, and then in January you're going to start to hear a little bit more information about a launch, a brand launch that's going to take place within this community. So we're really excited about this. Our leadership team's excited about it. Our company's excited about it. And our team, our employees are excited about it. And I think you're going to be really excited about what this is going to look like for you all. And how could we forget the merger, right? So all that's going on, we also got a merger that's going to be taking place with Life Care Services. So I had an opportunity last week to visit our sister community and had lunch with their executive director. And I'm really struggling for the name right now. Cypress, thank you. Cypress. Anyway, so we went there and had lunch with their sales team and executive director and just sat down and chatted and talked about Life Care Services and the company as a whole, what that's meant to them, because about 2 years ago, I believe Life Care Services assumed ownership of that community as well. So we didn't really get into a lot of information. It was really just more of a meet and greet. They're going to come out here probably in February, but it was good to connect with what we're going to be considering our future partners, on the island. They're going to be within the same company. So they had nothing but good things to say about Life Care Services. I've heard nothing but good things to hear about Life Care Services as a company. 130 communities strong. They have a very strong portfolio. They've been in business for over 50 years. They have anywhere from life care communities all the way up to rental communities. So there's a very, very wide portfolio that they have. Great leadership. I think I shared with you, it might have been one of the town halls, about 3 months ago. Their CEO, Chris Bird, I had the opportunity to meet when I worked with Marriott Senior Living. At that point, he was the director of sales, regional director of sales. He's done very well for himself. But in talking with Mike Fink, who's the executive director of Cypress, my counterpart, he had nothing but great things to say about Chris and how he leads the company, and just how this is going to be a great merger for everybody. So very excited about that. I don't have a lot to share on the merger at this point. I mean, our company just continually, we're just talking about the same things that they rolled out a few months ago. But what is going to be taking place here in the next month or so, or probably January, February, is that Chris Bird and members of his corporate executive team are going to come to Tide Point, and they're going to visit. We're going to do a tour. We'll sit down with the cabinet. We'll sit down with the board, do a meet and greet with the board. They'll tour the community. It'll probably be a 4 or 5 hour visit that they just want to get a lay of the land, take a look at Tide Point, get to meet some of the leadership here and some of the membership here, and then they'll be on their way. So they're doing that with all the communities. They've already visited 5 communities. I'm not sure where we're going to land in January or February, but that's going to be coming up soon. So we're very excited about that and very excited about the merger. So they are still planning that this is going to take place right around June. And they just got to get through the regulatory compliance pieces with each state that there's a community in. So there's 6 states. So I'm not sure if one is a little bit more difficult than the other, but they're thinking that it's going to take place in the middle of 2026. So super excited about that. I'm going to jump into this, and I'm going to move fairly quickly because I want to give, we still have some additional announcements that we need to make. So 2025 resident satisfaction survey that ended at the end of August. We had really strong participation, 91% of participation. Our overall engagement score, which is a roll-up of all the scores, came in at 78%. Last year, we might have been at 80%. So just a little bit different than last year, just by a couple points. And once again, I will have a more detailed presentation around the resident satisfaction survey results, probably February or March. But here's some of the service component scores. So the dark blue at the top is the V score, and the line right underneath is that is what is considered to be the benchmark. So 83 in accounting. Our dining operation came in at 67, a little bit higher than benchmark. Housekeeping was about flat. Lifestyle activities almost 10 points higher than last year. Maintenance was just a little lower. And then our management team came in right around where we did last year. And then a couple other high-level scores. Transportation options scored over 10% higher than they did last year. And then our services, the Wellness Center was 76 versus a benchmark of 80. But that score was much better than last year. And then if you take a look at some of the top statements, our scores versus the organization overall, you can see in the first one, I Feel Safe, came in at 94%. V was 96, so right in the same ballpark. How would you rate the staff? 91 to 91. That's right there. And recommending your facility to friends and family, how would you rate it overall? Very good there. We came in at 88 versus 86. As a company, lifestyle activities, 6 points higher than the company. Go Joy, she knocked it out of the park. You all are enjoying activities. And then I am satisfied with maintenance, just a little below what the company benchmark is. Came in at 84 versus 88. And I wanted to give a quick snapshot on dining. And you can see here that the dark green is the positive results. We came in for satisfied with variety of food at 68. The benchmark is 62, so we're 68, 62, and then V overall was 66. So this little lighter area here of 25% is folks that scored a 3. So it wasn't a 1 or a 2 or a 4 or 5, they just said, I'm thinking right now it's a 3. So that's where the area of opportunity is for us, I think, right there. And then I am satisfied with quality and consistency of food, came in at a 66 versus a benchmark of 62 versus organization of 64. So better than benchmark, better than organization. But once again, we had quite a few folks in the middle, not quite deciding if or pretty much saying that there's still opportunities. And then custom scores, I'm just not going to read all of this, but the first one is I feel truly comfortable in my community. So we scored a 91% versus